Thank you, and I'm so grateful for you to have joined me back here today for our reading of Junebug. And, Junebug is my story of my personal experience. If you want to grab yourself a copy to read along as we move forward, you can hop on CherieDoyen.com, or you can go directly to Amazon. Right? Your copy is there waiting for you. Right? Now, writing Junebug was a labor of love in every direction. Right? It was painful. It was exhilarating. It was magical. It was inspiring. It opened doors to new thoughts for myself and hopefully for you. So without further ado, we're going to hop right back in where we left off. So I get up bright and early, dress quickly, and off I go. I want to sneak out of the house. I try to beat the feeling of being forced out. By 9, we're forced out. The door's locked behind us, and she opens it again for lunch. This way it's my choice. These are the mind games we play with ourselves. So I creep through the house and I open the door to the outside very carefully. And once out in the open air, I breathe in freedom. Down to the barn I go. I use the word barn loosely. The barn is an old concrete block building. I imagine it being the original house. I had fantasies about the people that must have at one time lived there, lives there. It has a front door with windows on either side and a little loft where we store the hay. There's a door on the side that opens up to the feeding lot. We have no pasture, just woods. The feed's kept in an old freezer, the kind that opens from the top. And sawhorses, they hold the saddles, and bridles and halters hang from the nails on the walls. And nobody really comes here but me. The horses are my responsibility, and the boys have no interest. They like their bikes. I don't really get it. Right? I put curtains on the windows. I made them myself. On a rainy day, I would take one of Ginger's blankets and I'd climb up in the loft and spread it out on the hay bales. The smell of the leather mixed with the earthy smells of the hay is a comfort. Chi-Chi and I can curl up there with a book and be left completely alone. So I scoop out the sweet corn and oat mixture and I head out to give the horses their breakfast. Every creature on this little farm came to us through a trade or was given to us, even the horses. We have 6 when you include the ponies. Now, they ran the gamut from a 25-year-old Arabian to a Tennessee Walker, an Appaloosa, my Ginger, of course, and the pony. And then there was the poor, stunted, malnourished quarter horse filly. Dad came home with her one day after visiting a friend. Jim was going to put her down. He had too many horses and couldn't or wasn't feeding them. He liked his beer, so who knows, right? But this little one crawled into my dad's heart. Mom meets him in the drive. What are you doing bringing home this sick horse? She's going to be just fine with some good food. She comes from really good stock. We'll nurse her back and she'll make us some money. He's trying to justify the situation, not only to her, but to himself. This horse is not going to be fine, Mom said. The vet told him that she's too far gone. No amount of food is going to bring her back at this point. We're keeping her. Dad turns and leads the horse to the feedlot. He turns out all the other horses and measures out a safe amount of food and some hay. He stays with her a while. She pushes the food around. He strokes every inch of her body. You're home now. You will always have food, and we all deserve to eat. Her brain isn't quite right, though. The other horses won't have much to do with her, so I just feel sorry for her. She feels alone. She can't think right. She has little sparks that fly around in her head. Every now and again, I catch her hitting her head on a tree to make them stop. Now, the Arabian is Dad's mare. She's unpredictable and aggressive, just like him. I have to be very cautious when I'm out with the food. You know, she would just as soon run me over as look at me. I get her fed first. The little one I call Joe cowers as close to the building as possible. I grab her a bucket of her own food and stay with her so she feels safe while she eats. Me and my big stick. Bullies are everywhere. Back in to grab a bale of hay, and I scatter a little off to the side and throw the hose in the trough. The others can fend for themselves. I'm off to the fun stuff. I climb to the I love to climb into the loft while the horses are eating. I can watch from above. As soon as Ginger is finished, we can get out of here, right? It's toward the ends of summer and the loft's kind of creepy. Bailing time's just around the corner. I'm wandering around. It's fun to explore up here. And then I stumble upon a box hidden in a crevice between the wall and two hay bales, way back in the corner. It looks like it's been pretty at one time. Gold with an elaborate painting on top. I brushed away the dust and the debris, and through the rust I can barely make out a boy dressed all page-like with poofy short pants and tights. And he's blowing a really long trumpet in front of a grand palace. The colors are faded, but in my mind's eye I can see when it was new and shiny. And it reminds me of something Grandma would keep her stationery stuff in. I settle myself on a bale of hay and open the box to discover a stash of letters. There's a picture of a handsome man on a motorcycle right on top. I study the picture closely. Who is this man? As I remove the first letter from its envelope, I quickly realize it's a love letter written to my mom. Secrets. Quickly put the letter back into its envelope. I peek out over the feed yard and see that Ginger has finished her breakfast. I whisper down to her, "Oh my gosh, are you ready? Let's get out of here. I have something to show you." I hurry to climb down the ladder, the box tucked safely under my arm. I need to get to my secret spot up in the cliffs. No one can find me there. There I can be safe to explore this new sticky secret. This just might be what I've been looking for. I slide the box into my sack. The whole time I'm getting Ginger saddled up and ready to go, and I'm talking. I want to read each one by one. This is huge. I mean, I can't believe she saved them. You know, Dad, my hideout is on Mr. Sanford's property. He's allowed me to cut a gate in the fence and ride back here. Once hidden by the trees, I begin to breathe. I hop down, prop the gate open, and lead the crew through. As usual, we're being followed by a couple of dogs. Chi-Chi's riding up with me, of course. With the gate secure, I climb back up and we begin our journey. No one can find us now. No one knows about my spot high up above the trees. Crossing the creek's always fun. Ginger loves to take it in a long running jump. She doesn't like her feet getting wet. There are no words to describe that feeling. I often close my eyes and imagine what flying must feel like. Suspended for a moment, we land softly on the other side. We meander our way up the hill, overlooking the creek, and there it is, my haven. A cliff, high above the treetops, water running below. And at the cliff's edge, I can look down upon the wood, the trees, and the scurry of life. This is the place where I come to think. My sacred space. Just God, the animals, no people allowed. The sounds of nature, the birds are singing. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. And with a slight breeze, the leaves are making their own song. I climb down and let the reins just drop to the ground. Ginger can graze while I play detective. I quickly remove my satchel and I slip the box from its hiding place. My belly's tingling with excitement and my mind is already building stories, love letters, a stack of them. I need to know more about this mysterious man on the motorcycle. Maybe he's my real dad. This one doesn't think he's my real dad either. He tells me all the time. Is it true? Or is it an excuse to relieve his guilt around slipping into my room at night? right? So maybe now I can find the truth of how I came to be here. I've always felt out of place, like I don't belong here. I don't know who these people are or why they hate me so much. It's as if I've just risen from the depths of a coma and realized there are a whole lot of strangers circling who claim to be my people, and they don't like me one little bit. I find a comfortable spot under a grand old tree and once again remove the lid from the box. Gently lifting the letters one at a time, I begin to read. Hours go by as I lose myself in the tale I'm weaving between the lines. Who was this man? Mom loved him. He loved her. He moved into the city to work, saving with plans to come home and get her as soon as possible. They had plans to marry and then live happily ever after. And instead, she's here. His letters are filled with plans for their future. Was I in her belly yet? Part of me wants it to be true so bad. At least there's a thread of reason for this dad's claims and excuses. He sounds like such a kind man. I allow myself to drift into a daydream of what life might have looked like if this was my family. What would my mother be like if she was with someone who loved her and showed kindness? How different would life be? Looking back to the box, I see there's one last letter. The handwriting on the outside of the envelope is different, but the same somehow. Trembling hands, I lift the envelope and remove the letter. I open it and glance at the signature. It's not from him. It's from his mother, with tragic news of this beautiful young man having been killed in an accident. He was killed on one of his trips back home. Was it to see her? A motorcycle accident. Mom must have been devastated. No one talks about it. Is it because of him? Of his jealousy? Or is it because of me? How could she have gone from this really nice man in these letters to him? Little girls need their daddies. Was it a forbidden love? It couldn't have been more forbidden than him. Grandma didn't like the idea for sure. She really hated drinking, smoking, and swearing, all of which are what make Kenny James who and what he is. Oh my gosh, so many questions. I'm absorbed in thought. I slipped the letter back into its envelope, back in its original order. I carefully return the letters to their hiding place in the box. I take another moment with the picture. Do we look alike? I put the picture back into its proper place of honor on top of the stack, lid back on. And I get up slowly. I give Chi-Chi a snuggle and move to my customary spot at the cliff's edge. I look out with a bird's view over the treetops while I get settled in a cross-legged position. I think until the words run dry and my mind becomes very still. I've discovered recently that by staring at a single object and clearing my mind of all thought, my body very still, I can slip gently to the other place whenever I want to. Sound of the water catches my attention and my eye finds the creek with a doe at its edge. She looks up, sensing my gaze. Our eyes meet. I find myself sitting on a large rock next to the path. I'm perched on one of the steps. My legs are dangling. I can see that Tig was not too far in the distance, heading my way. He's accompanied today by a beautiful paint mare. She has a long flaxen mane and tail, and her body white with large liver spots. She reminds me of one of the horses an Indian warrior would ride, and she carries herself very regally. And with a toss of her head and a whinny, she tells me to climb aboard. She has sidled up next to the boulder to gather me from my perch. It's as if the stage were set specifically for this purpose. And I throw my leg over and I get my seat. Hang on now. We're going on a little adventure today before we meet the teacher, Tigwa says. Where are we going? I can hardly contain my excitement. We thought we'd show you around a little bit, he says, calling back over his shoulder. The sun's glistening across all the colors of the flowers that lace the meadow. It looks like a rainbow on the ground. Every so often, sprinkled here and there, proudly above them all, waved the poppies, grandmama's flower. Moving at top speed, the power grows beneath me. My mind becomes clear and sharp as I begin to feel one with the animal. I'm humbled by her choice to carry me. The thoughts and worries of home are left far behind. We emerge from the meadow at the edge of a thick wood. Slowing things down a bit, we begin to make our way down the trail. I lose myself in all the sounds, the animals scurrying through the trees, the birds are making music as if just for us. My breath catches at the sight of the light as it filters through the treetops and bounces off the dew that rests on the leaves. In this moment, I feel as though it were all orchestrated or constructed just for me, right here, right now. In this moment, all is right in my world. And as the trees become sparser, I begin to hear the sounds of water. A pool fed by a waterfall is coming into view. I love the sounds of flowing water. The water of life, I remember the teacher saying once. The vegetation around the water's edge is lush and green, layers and layers of green. I'm not sure how it's possible, but I can somehow smell the green, along with a hint of sweet. I notice a rainbow a little further down the river. It seems to be crossing the water like a bridge. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The colors are vibrant. It's as if they carry weight, moving, but still at the same time. And as we mosey down the river shore, the rainbow has my attention for sure. And the questions are piling up in my throat. Tigwa, that rainbow, what is it? It looks like it has a life force of its own. The rainbow bridge is the bridge to the village of the elders, the sacred bridge of the people. It only appears for those who are called. The seer has sent it for you. The seer? You mean the rainbow is here for me? Yes, of course. Behind a muffled chuckle, the seer wishes to speak with you. He wants to speak with me. Why? And who's the seer anyway? The seer is the great one of the people. He can show you what has been and what is to come. He has something that he wants you to see. And the closer we get to the place where the rainbow touches the earth, the more butterflies decide to take flight in my stomach. Tigwa lifts his foot to step onto the rainbow bridge, and my rational mind screams, wait, rainbows can't be walked on, they're just light. But with its denseness, it has the appearance of being solid, yet see-through at the same time. My worries don't have time to even make it to my lips before the mayor takes charge, and over the bridge we go. And as I look down through the transparent bridge, I can see the water running under the animal's feet. So with determination, I let go of my fears and I decide to sit back and enjoy the ride. After all, I'm riding across a rainbow with my friends in the most beautiful land I have ever seen. Now the figure of what seems to be a man is waiting at the other side of the rainbow. And as we get closer, it seems we are met by a real live Indian with all the feathers and the leather clothes. He nods at Tigwa, and without a word, he turns to lead us towards what appears to be a small village. Now the teepees are arranged in a circle around a central dwelling, and its position seems to be important. As we enter the circle, we are greeted by an elderly man who holds a great deal of reverence among the people. Tigwa lowers his head in a bow and greets the man, referring to him as the great seer. I'm gently lifted from the mare and guided into the teepee. I look back over my shoulder, hoping that Tigwa's going to join us. My nerves melt away as the flap is lifted and the fragrance of burning sage wafts through the air. I see there's a fire blaze in the center of the space. A few of the elders have taken their seats. With Tigwa at my side, we take our place to the right of the great seer. completing the circle. He lifts a large cup and takes a sip, passing it to the man on his left. The cup makes its way around the circle. Now it's my turn. The liquid on my lips is cold and bitter. I try to hide my distaste as I pass the cup back to the seer. Next, he lifts a large pipe made from an elk antler to his lips. This in turn is passed to his left. I haven't ever smoked anything before. Thoughts of choking on the smoke flit across my mind as I lift the pipe to my lips. Nice, sweet, and very smooth. I notice the feeling as of my lungs expanding as I inhale the smoke. Only a little coughing. I become lost in the nice tingly feelings that are circulating through my body when the seer begins to speak. He lays a hand on my shoulder to bring my attention back to the circle. Turning into his voice, I begin to see scenes from my life playing out before my eyes. Hitting, yelling, Dad lurking in my bedroom. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Tears are streaming freely down my face. We want you to see that in God's world you have been given a great gift. You don't have to make the choice of right and wrong like others. The lines are blurred for them. They can't see. They don't know the difference between dark and light and are very clear in your world. With the pain comes great strength and clarity. Be patient. Gather the lessons. Your gifts are many. The picture softens as it settles on my grandma piddling around the kitchen, me on her heels. The love for her wells up in my chest. She was put with you, June, to protect you. But he's still hurting me. She's protecting what is important. Your body is for learning. Like the little metal horse in your Monopoly game, the horse doesn't play the game. You do. You aren't your body, June. She's protecting the real you, what's inside, what makes you get up every morning in spite of your father. Stay close and learn from her. Her teachings and love will guide you to your gifts. What gifts? You have many gifts, June. Your powers are many and great. The time will come when you are ready. Be patient and pay attention. Suddenly, I find myself sitting under the magnificent tree on the customary rock with the teacher at my side. I've learned that things can change really fast around here, so I just go with it. And the smoldering question burns hot inside of me. Is he my father? The motorcycle man, I mean? Is he my dad? My child? That is of no importance. But that man down there, he can't be my dad. How can I have his blood running through my veins? What if his blood makes me mean and ugly too? Maybe she was pregnant already with the motorcycle man's baby and tricked this dad. Maybe that's why he's so angry. It doesn't matter, the teacher said again. He contributes only to the playing piece they call June, not to who you are on the inside. The real you has been around a long, long, long time and assumed many different playing pieces. You fought far worse battles than this one. We can't know the light without knowing the dark, little one. That's contrast. In the game, you were given the brightest of lights and the darkest of darks. The Creator wanted no confusion. Pay attention to the scenery and gather your tools. When all are in place, the path out will become very clear. Now put the box back where you found it and utter not a word. My eyes begin to get heavy with the words, my signal that it's time to go back. No, not yet. I have one more question. But I'm back on the cliff. Looking around, I see everything is just the same as if I've just blinked. The doe is still standing at the creek's edge. Our eyes are still connected. Time seems to stop here with my visits to the other place. So thank you for joining me here today. And please grab your copy of Junebug and start the conversation with the girls in your family and the young boys. And let's see if we can create a new trajectory for the youth and humans on our planet, right? Pick up your copy of Junebug at CherieDoyen.com on the books page. Have a great day.